Thank you and your companions with us on the YouTube channel of Nghe An Newspaper, the digital social publication of the newspaper and Nghe An Radio and Television. Right after this, we will come to the latest news that we have just updated. In an interview with F News on 22, Turkish President Recep Erdogan predicted that the Russia-Ukraine war will not end soon, which is not very positive news. President Erdogan emphasized that Ankara has important relations with both Russia and Ukraine. He said, "We have never been in an adversarial position with these two countries. We have never wanted a war to break out." President Erdogan does not believe that the war can end in the near future, although the war has caused heavy damage to both Russia and Ukraine. President Erdogan also said that the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, could adopt a model similar to Turkey's approach, which is to maintain more peaceful relations with both Russia and Ukraine. According to him, Ukraine will have difficulty maintaining this war financially while Europe cannot support the KF economically forever. In addition, it is unclear how far the US will continue to support Ukraine. Erdogan had previously expressed his desire to host a meeting between Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and Russian President Vladimir Putin in Turkey to discuss ways to end the war. Last month, Erdogan and Zelensky discussed preparations for a possible Russia-Ukraine summit. However, earlier this month, the Turkish leader said that neither Putin nor Zelensky were ready for a meeting. Turkey has also mediated direct talks between Russian and Ukrainian delegations this year. The talks, although not a breakthrough in ending the war, have yielded positive results, such as prisoner exchanges and the repatriation of soldiers who died in battle.
On September 28, a shooting occurred at a Mormon church in the town of Grand Blanc, Michigan, USA, leaving 2 people dead and 8 injured. According to the authorities, the suspect in the incident also died. Speaking at a press conference, Grand Blanc Police Chief William Rainier said the incident occurred at the Mormon church, about 80 kilometers north of the city of Deck. The incident occurred when hundreds of people were attending a morning service at the church. The attacker crashed a car into the front door of the church, then got out of the car and opened fire in the winter. The suspect also set fire to the church and was shot by police while fleeing. Rainier police identified the suspect as Thomas Jacob Sanford, 40, from the neighboring Putin area, and said investigators were searching the suspect's home but did not yet know the motive for the crime. The FBI has dispatched 100 agents to Grand Blanc, a community of about 40,000 people, local authorities said. One of the injured is in critical condition, while 7 are in stable condition. The shooting is the latest in a series of attacks on churches in the United States over the past 20 years, including one in August that killed 2 people at a church in Minneapolis. On 28, the state of Oregon filed a lawsuit in federal court to block the deployment of 200 National Guard troops to the city of Portland, saying President Donald Trump's depiction of the peaceful city as being ravaged by war was a complete fabrication. According to The Guardian, Oregon Governor Tina Koch said in a press conference that she had been informed by the Pentagon that the U.S. president had taken control of the state's reserves, citing the authority that allows him to intervene to suppress a riot or lawlessness. "When the president and I spoke the other day, I made it very clear that there was no riot or threat to public safety that would require military intervention in Bland," Ms. Tick said. According to a Pentagon memo dated May 28 and signed by Defense Secretary Pete Heet, 200 members of the Oregon National Guard will be mobilized into federal service effective immediately for a period of 60 days. Oregon Attorney General Don Refield said President Trump's move to seize control of the state's National Guard was clearly unlawful because it was not done in response to a foreign invasion or widespread anarchy, but rather to a small protest by a few dozen activists outside an ICE office in Portland. He stressed that it should be made clear that local law enforcement is in control of the situation. "We have free speech protests taking place near a federal facility near Portland. We are actively managing the situation with federal personnel at the facility, and when protesters cross the line and engage in illegal behavior, they are being dealt with." The Oregon lawsuit notes that the president's false statements about the ICE facility being surrounded in Portland residents living in hell appear to be based on a Fox News report that aired earlier this month. The video shown in this newscast shows footage of a 2020 protest outside a federal squad in downtown, but Mr. Field said the problem is that the president is using social media to form his views, relying on social media rumors to get a sense of the real situation in an American city. BCCH also added that you tried to inform Trump in a phone call on September 27 that he had a serious misreading of the current situation in Portland, a city that has become a vibrant and peaceful city half a decade after the pandemic-era racial justice protests. The report continued, "We cannot look at footage from 2020 and assume that is the situation today and banned." The Oregon lawsuit names President Trump, Secretary of State Lightning, Secretary of Homeland Security Christinum, and their respective agencies as defendants. The plaintiffs are asking the court to declare the federalization and deployment of the Oregon National Guard in the state illegal and to permanently bar future similar actions. However, the White House argues that Trump's use of the National Guard will make Portland safer.
In a notable development, a Paris court on May 25 sentenced former French President Nicolas Sarkozy to 5 years in prison in an investigation into allegations of illegal funding from the government of the late Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi for his election campaign. According to the verdict, Sarkozy participated in the case from 2005 to 2007 to receive money from Libya in exchange for diplomatic favors to help him run for president in 2007. However, the court overturned his conviction on 3 other charges, including passive corruption, illegal election financing, and concealing embezzlement. With this verdict, Sarkozy, 70, becomes the first former French president to be convicted of accepting foreign money to win an election. Mr. Sarkozy was elected president in 2007 but lost his re-election bid in 2012. He denied all charges during a 3-month trial alongside 11 co-defendants, including 3 former ministers. The trial has revealed secret diplomatic channels between France and Libya in the 2000s as Mr. Gaddafi sought to restore ties with the West. Mr. Sarkozy has repeatedly denied the charges, calling them a political conspiracy based on fabricated evidence. He said the charges were a retribution for his calls to overthrow Mr. Gaddafi in 2011. France was among the first Western countries to support military intervention in Libya amid the Arab Spring. Mr. Sarkozy was awarded the Order of the First Order of Treason, France's highest award, in June this year after being convicted in a separate case. In 2021, he was convicted of corruption and bribery for attempting to bribe a judge to obtain information in a related legal case. He was sentenced to a year of house arrest with an electronic bracelet but was released on parole last May due to his age, after wearing the bracelet for just over 3 months. In a separate case, Mr. Sarkozy was also convicted of violating campaign finance laws during his failed 2012 re-election campaign. He was accused of spending more than twice the legal limit and was sentenced to a year in prison, 6 of which was suspended. Mr. Sarkozy denies the charges and has appealed to France's highest court, but a final verdict has not yet been reached. With the latest sentence, Nicolas Sarkozy, once an icon of French right-wing politics, is facing a long string of legal scandals that threaten to completely end his remaining political ambitions. Denies the charges and has